Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Align Your Enterprise Strategy with Clarity. My name is Maï Zidane from MBCom Marketing Team, and I'm delighted to be your host for today. Before we begin, please make sure your microphones are muted during our session, and you can use the chat box at any time to share your question. We will dedicate some time at the end for the Q&A. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Piyush, our Senior Pre-Sales Engineer and Practice Manager at MBCom. Over to you, Piyush.
Okay. Thank you, Mai, for the introduction. Guys, so should we wait for a couple of minutes, Mai, so that other people can join, or we can get started?
Sure. We can wait for a couple of minutes.
Okay. I think let's wait so that more people can come in.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you. You can hear me loud and clear, right?
Over to you, Piyush.
Okay, thank you. Let's start so that the other people can also, keep they will join because we don't want to lose time. So first of all, I want to thank you guys for joining in today. We have a good amount of people that I can see, have joined this webinar. This webinar is recorded, and Mai would be sharing with you the recording. I believe it's going to be either posted on YouTube or it will be sent like a link to the webinar. So I encourage you guys to ask questions right over the chat, and what I would be doing is I would be pausing in, from time to time, and then would be asking you, questions. So we don't want to wait till the end. Although I would be asking questions during the end. So this webinar is scheduled for 60 minutes. So today my plan is to go over content, a lot of content. And if time permit, we will do the demo. But otherwise, if time doesn't permit, we can arrange another webinar. It's only going to be for the demonstration. Okay. So with that, let's get started. As Mai mentioned, my name is Piyush Vachhani. I'm the practice manager and also managing pre-sales for enterprise software in META region, which stands for Middle East, Turkey, and Africa. So today we would be talking a lot about clarity. We would be, starting with about Broadcom. Most of you may probably know, but it will be a very quick, brief refresher. And then also we would be doing introduction, to the solution, and we will go to clarity, and we will see what use cases are. And I have a bonus use case for you, in today's world. And there will be summary, and then, as I mentioned, there will be question and answer. But as I mentioned, I encourage you to ask a question in the middle. I will pause, keep coming during the chat, and we will answer it. Let's get started. Let's talk about Broadcom. So Broadcom traditionally before 2018 was a pure semiconductor manufacturing company. So Broadcom used to create chips, that powers mobile phones and the devices worldwide. But in 2018, Broadcom did a shift and acquired CA Technologies. That's how the enterprise software, came into the Broadcom portfolio, and the software came into the Broadcom portfolio for $20.8 billion. And then the software journey started for Broadcom. And in 2019, Broadcom acquired Symantec, and that's how the cybersecurity software actually came into the Broadcom portfolio. And in 2023, the notable acquisition also was VMware. So Broadcom acquired it, during late 2023 for more than $60 billion. And that's how the infrastructure software or virtualization cloud software came into the Broadcom portfolio. So it's a story of acquisition, and it's a story of innovation, story of organic and acquisitions altogether. That's how the Broadcom growth was powered, right? So coming down into the portfolio, so Broadcom portfolio is divided into two areas. There is software, and then there is semiconductor. So on the right side, you will see the semiconductor, which I will not talk about. I will just focus more on the software side, and especially on the enterprise software, as you can see in the left. That's where we will be going through, and Clarity is part of that enterprise software, which would be discussing the strategy part, right? But Broadcom doesn't only provide enterprise software. Broadcom also provides software from mainframe, powering mainframe, private clouds, even fiber channel networking, and the cybersecurity software. When we dig down into enterprise software, it's the best portfolio that you can get for digital transformation. So this portfolio is all about innovation, getting your delivery done properly, with improvement. So it's actually all about data-driven, actions and insights, and AI is in the heart of this portfolio. And we are helping customers, innovate and operate. So there are journeys of the customer. There is innovation journey, and then there is operation journey. So during that innovation, when the ideas are bringing to life, and when customers are keeping on innovating, the software would help customers innovate. And also when things are in operations, when your devices, your network, your servers, your infrastructure, your applications are in production, we help optimize the operations, by monitoring the systems and observing and providing a lot of AI and automation. So these are the two areas actually that our software helps customers innovate and operate. When we talk about the strategy management, it's a three-decade heritage of innovation. We are talking in 90s, that's when the NICU or the Clarity that you see today got started. It was completely regarding the project management, or and project costing, project governance. But we came a long way. CA acquired Clarity or PPM in 2005, and also acquired Raleigh, acquired Connectall. So as you can see, there was a lot of heritage, there is a lot of innovation in these areas, and that's how we see today Value Ops by Broadcom, right? That is providing the end-to-end visibility across platforms and alignment and efficiency, right? So this was all about Broadcom. Now I want to do some introduction, for and give you a little background of where we are and what we are. But basically, when we see traditionally, and I'm going to be talking more on the strategy and project and program perspective. So as you can see, historically, when the investments, were happening, they were happening, and I'm talking, like early 2000s, even late 90s, and 2010. A lot of technology investments were happening across worldwide. Customers were spending heavily on hardware, on networks, on vendors, on services. Big time, one time projects were there, right? So we see that, even still today we are seeing in the AI world, but historically this was more on the network and hardware side of it, right? But what we have seen is, technology and AI spending that we see that, right? Especially in AI and also the other technology, that requires, constant feeding of data. So if you're not feeding the data, related to your projects, related to your initiatives, related to your assets, related to your products, related to your programs, the data tend to become obsolete, right? And that causes a big problem, right? And traditionally we also are seeing, a lot of business cases are being, put in. Lot of business cases are being defined, and the business cases can be, in the form of digital transformation. It can be in the form of, AI driven, so we have seen that several business cases, were there. Once you receive the approval, once you receive the funding, these business cases basically were approved and they were transformed or converted into projects or programs, so we have seen this traditionally, right? And each project is funded, for business, right? So there are projects for IT, there are projects for sales, there are projects for facilities, for marketing, for business. So there are multiple projects that we have seen, but this process is very long because we need to justify the funding of each and every project, and or business case, and make it happen, right? So it's a very long process if we want to see a quick win, a quick ROI, and also we have seen the business, once you started the project, once you have seen, the business, if their needs are changed, if they want to pivot into new direction, it is almost impossible to go back and pivot the plan, right? So this was the issue that we see, with traditional project management, traditional portfolio management, so a bunch of business cases transformed, but changes were not factored in, or it was very difficult to perform a change or to perform the direction. So how what we were doing is we review, we approve each business case, we fund each project, and we think we have a control of what has been delivered or what has been developed. But the amount of process it takes to do the funding, the amount of time it takes to do the to get the resources, that doesn't guarantee, because the time that maybe you need is obsolete, right? Or maybe that's gone. Maybe a new technology come in place. So there has to be a better way, of making things happen. So business are changing, so instead of going into the business case direction, we go top down. We start with strategy, we start with initiating, or with the initiatives, and we start with funding the initiatives and defining the strategy. So we go top down. We see what these value streams are. We go to each and every department. We understand what the strategy of the organization and what is the strategy of your departments or business unit, what initiatives they have. So we start from there instead of starting with a business case, right? So this is what we do that. And then also what we do is we dramatically simplify the process with few initiatives. So instead of running hundreds and hundreds and thousands of projects, we manage these initiatives, or some, or we call it value streams or strategic initiatives, or maybe you use a different term. Maybe you use strategic goals or something else, right? So we do that. So we go top down and we focus on delivering the value, rather than specific outcome, that we produce. Okay. So we actually also we put from a business lens, and then we go to the execution lens, right? So we have clarity, which defines the strategy, articulate the strategy, right? Prioritize and plan. And we combine this data with the execution of who we have, what resources we have, and who's delivering what. We execute with agility, efficiency, and visibility, right? So that's how we do the alignment. We have the business data, we have the execution data, we combine this data, then we put that strategy in place, and then we aggregate that data and we make it happen. That's how we align that, right? So we start with that. When we say strategy, when we say this, just 1 second, guys, you can hear me well? Just want to double check.
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. So strategy is not just about the financials, right? It's all about creating value. It's just not about, getting the profits or getting the, short-term growth. So there is a misconception that strategy is all about, more money and more margin or more, return on invested capital. That's not the strategy. Strategy is creating value. And when we say create value, it's for creating value for the customers, which in turn can become profitable and margin. That's the byproduct. It's also about creating value for employees and create value for suppliers or vendors, that you do. So when we are creating value, we are actually taking all this in consideration, and that's what we call strategy. So strategy, how I'm going to cater to my customers or cater to my employees or suppliers, that's along the line that we do. And then you will get the byproduct, which is the profitability margin or even non financial benefits. Okay, so this is what strategy is. But clarity in general, is has come a long way, from the 3 decades of innovation that we saw. It's come along the way, into the lines of, strategy, planning, and execution. So it's not just about project, it's not just about the strategy, but it's also about aligning that strategy with execution, or aligning that execution with the plan, or aligning that plan with that strategy, right? So we do that in Clarity, and we do that by executing projects. We do that by doing funding, by doing demand management in Clarity. We do that by defining strategic pillars or strategic initiatives, which is the vision, mission. We do that by defining the objectives or the OKRs, initiatives, in Clarity. We do it by managing the resources, how we will be achieving that strategy, or how we would be delivering that project that's aligned with the strategy. We also do it not just on the project level. What if you are running, creating or building a product? What if you're running a program? What if you're building a portfolio? What if you're tracking your KPIs? So we do all of that in Clarity, right? So Clarity started, as I mentioned, with project management software, run IT projects, run digital transformation projects, run your agile projects, run your waterfall projects, run your hybrid projects, but also align them with the strategy. So start with the strategy, align them with the projects, align them with the objectives, and at the end of the day, we need to keep an eye. We need to monitor the strategy. We need to monitor the goals, the initiatives. We need to monitor the projects and the programs. We do that all in Clarity. So it's a one-stop shop for all the strategy management, planning, and execution. It provides you visibility across strategy. It provides you visibility across task. It provides you visibility across financial, your time. All you would be able to do that in Clarity. Also, it would provide you the efficiency. So if your team are efficient or less efficient, or if your resources are less efficient or more efficient, you can measure and monitor that. And alignment, you can easily have that check. If your strategy changes completely, you can change, or you can modify or pivot, the projects that you're running, because you're agile or hybrid or whatever. So this is something that you can do once you have all the data in place. And AI plays a major role, a bigger role in summarizing, or in providing you the insights, in the form of a report or a dashboard, in on a strategy level, or on a project, or on an execution level. So this is what we do, Clarity in a nutshell. Any questions on so I will take a pause now. Any questions on the chat window that you see?
None. No, none for now.
Okay, right. So guys, who would be using Clarity? Clarity would be used by strategic people. So you have executives, the people who are making strategy, they're going to be using Clarity. They will use it to define the strategy. They will use it to monitor the strategy. They would use it to approve your strategy or approve your projects or approve your budget, right? So these people, you would use Clarity for that. But also maybe you have some project manager or some program manager, or some managers, which are defining the initiatives, maybe the head of research, maybe the head of technology, maybe the head of strategy or digital transformation. You will define strategy, you will define. Okay, just 1 second. Second, guys. Hold on, guys. 1 second. I am seeing that there was a banner at the top. Is it good now? All right. I hope.
Yes.
Yeah. Great. So sorry about that, guys. I did not realize it was visible to you guys. So basically, when we talk about clarity, we need to have that mindset that we will not just, clarity is not just for projects, it's not just for program, or it's not just for demand, or it's not just for financial. It's also for strategy, it's also for initiatives, it's also for developers, also for executives. So there are multiple usage, there are multiple use cases. So what happens is, when I go to a customer site, I ask, where are you defining or documenting your strategy? Maybe you have an Excel sheet. Maybe you have got a PowerPoint. Maybe you have some MSP, Microsoft project. Maybe you have got SAP. Maybe you got Oracle. Maybe you got Power BI. Maybe you have a bunch of solutions where you are defining your strategy, you're defining your projects, you're defining your tasks, you're defining your time, you're defining your financial things, you're defining your approvals, you're defining, you're getting your dashboards, your insight. So there is an application jungle, tool jungle out there, and each and every department may be using their own tools. So maybe if I go to IT, maybe let's say they're using SharePoint, or maybe let's say if I go to PMO, they're using Microsoft Project. Maybe the developers, they're using Jira. Maybe the CIOs or CXOs, they're using Power BI. The financial teams, maybe they're using Oracle or SAP. So different departments, they're doing, they're using different tools for projects or strategy or financial, because they're umbrella, a single pane of glass, which can, because we can integrate with all these different solutions and other solutions, which can provide all the strategy data, all the financial data, all the project program initiative, all the data in one pane of glass, and all the alignment in one pane of glass. So this is the power of Clarity with the approvals. So executives would be using it to approve, executive would be using it to define the strategy or to track or monitor the strategy, and these are just some examples of the end users. The end users can be the project people. They can create project, align with the strategy. They can monitor projects, right? So if the project has 2 tasks or 20% tasks or 2,000 tasks, or it has 2 people or 200 people, you do it in Clarity. Or let's say, for example, you have a strategy for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years, you have a roadmap, you do it in Clarity. Or let's say you want to manage your finances, let's say this strategy or this program is costing you $100,000 or $1 million or $10 million or 1 billion. You can do that in Clarity. So finance people will use it, resource people will use it. They can allocate resources. A project, let's say, is going to start in March. I need 50 machine learning engineers, I need 20 Java developers. Do it here in Clarity. I have developers, I have engineers, I have agents. They are putting their time. They spend 2 hours, they spend 100 hours, they spend 1,000 hours on delivering some piece of work, maybe doing some testing, maybe building some use case or test case or executing. Do it in Clarity. Or let's say you can do the task tracking. So if your task is 10% done or 100% done or 80% done, manage it, monitor it in Clarity. So it goes beyond the execution, it goes planning, it goes strategy and all that, and also it's coming into flavors. So if you want to run it in your data center, or if you want to run it in any of the public cloud, or if you want to go as a SaaS, as a Broadcom SaaS, you will have all that in Clarity, right? So these are the typical the people and typical use cases that you see, and typical integrations, because we integrate with ERP. We bring in budget data of a strategy or a budget or an objective or a KPI. We do that in Clarity, right? So these are some of the things. Now, what you get out of it, right? So again, we will do everything related to the project, but also, as I mentioned, I want to manage my strategy. I want to manage, I want to see, did I meet my objectives? Did I meet my objectives for this month? Did I finish my objectives for this quarter or this year? How much outcomes was that delivered? Which initiatives were successful? Which were failure? How much percent of strategic alignment we have done, or strategic goals we have achieved. This all type of data, all these KPIs, you would be able to see that in the form of a report or dashboard. So you can consume, you can digest the data, in a very simple and easy to use format, right? So this is something that you can do. And also, when I see strategy, where are you spending the money? That's also one of the strategy, right? It's not just everything about money, but where your initiative, how much it is costing, which strategy is costing you how much, which project is costing you how much is your plan, how much is your commit. All these types of things you can do it in Clarity, and these are just some examples what you see over here. You can slice and dice the data. And also, this is on the team side. This is where you can do the team tracking, you can do the team planning. If you are a software delivery or a software development, or if you want to manage the life cycle of an application, right, you can also use that. This is another sister solution of Clarity we call Raleigh, where actually you can track time, track your team, you can track features, you can track the piece of work that they are delivering in an agile fashion. Okay, so you can do here, and you can push that data to Clarity, and Clarity, again, as I mentioned, have a single pane of glass for all the projects and all the initiatives and all the strategy over there, right? And if you want to measure, let's say if you're a financial company and you are into retail finance, right? So you're doing credit card, you are doing, so you have some kind of objectives, that you need to achieve in your credit cards or your loans or your home lending in this example. So you can do that. You can measure your goals, you can measure your KPIs, you can measure your progress, monthly, weekly, bi-weekly, quarterly, doesn't matter. You can do all of that, right? So these are just some examples I want to give you to open your mind what we can do. But we will go to the use cases now, and we will see how we're going to use Clarity, for strategy and also for other things. But I will take a pause, Mai, and see if there is any questions so far.
We haven't received any questions, so please, in case you need any questions, please use the chat box.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So how are we going to use Clarity? As I mentioned, strategy management is number one. Define your strategy, define your vision. If you don't use the word strategy, if you use the word vision, if you use the word goals, if you use the one strategic initiatives or strategic pillars, whatever naming convention you use it in Clarity. You define your strategy, you define your names, you define your terminology in Clarity. So you define your strategy and you define your objectives, which is your short-term goals. Some companies, they call it OKR, objective and key results. Some companies, they like to use KPIs, key performance indicators. But we are moving towards, a lot of companies are moving towards OKR, where we are defining the measurable achievements. So you can measure all of them in Clarity, right? And also, when we are defining the strategy, so you can define the strategy with hierarchy. So hierarchy is your strategy, your objectives, your initiatives, and all the projects supporting those initiatives or objectives. So you can define that, you can define your layers, and you can aggregate that data. So you can measure your strategy, you can measure your objectives, you can manage your initiatives, you can measure your programs. All this can be done in Clarity. You can slice and dice. Maybe you want to measure it in a physical period. Maybe you want to see the multiple methods, multiple investment types. You can do all of that in Clarity. So if you have a vision for the next 5 years and you have bunch of objectives, bunch of initiatives, put it in Clarity, get that data rolled up automatically and give you the details, right? So this is the hierarchy. Also, when the strategy, when we do the alignment, we do the road mapping. Road mapping means what's coming next quarter, what's coming next year, what is my horizon looks like, how 6 months looks like from now on, how does the next 1 year looks like me, what initiatives am I launching, what programs am I launching, what milestones I'm delivering, what projects I'm launching, what strategic pillars am I delivering. All these roadmaps you can define, you can change the roadmaps, so you would know what's coming. you would know next year you would be spending money in security. Maybe you will spend this year money in AI, or maybe you'll spend 20% of the money in AI, or 10% in security, 50% in optimization. So you can define and you can make that happen. So whenever you are doing funding and budgeting and all that, you can use Clarity and define your strategy and define your roadmap inside that, right? So this was the strategy management. But as I mentioned, Clarity is not just for strategy, or not just for product, or not just for marketing or engineering. It's for everyone. So also the other use case is project management, or portfolio and program management. So how we do that? We have more than 30 plus years. That's how Clarity got started. Measure the projects, measure the tasks, measure the time, measure the completion, do the forecasting, get your work breakdown structure, get your milestones, get your change requests, get your risks, get your issues. All these piece of work, in form of projects or programs, you can deliver it in Clarity, right? And inside project or inside program, there are a bunch of tasks, maybe 10 tasks, 1,000 tasks, 200 tasks, or if the task needs approval, or if the task is in progress, or if this task is a milestone, or if it's a sign of task, or time and material or fixed price, doesn't matter, right? So you can complete task if it's 80% or 100% or 10%, or the task is going to due today or tomorrow. All these things can be seen properly. Also, you can do resource and team management. So tasks and projects and programs and initiatives are delivered by people. So if there is a project work, I need project manager. If there's a work for Java development, I need Java developer. If there is a need for engineering, maybe I need architects. I need maybe some system developers. I need the business analysts. I need testers. I need developers. I need machine learning people. I need people with AI. I need people with multiple skills, right? I need people from sales. I need people from marketing. I need people from design. So we can do resource and team management. I can assign the work. I can assign the initiative. I can assign the task. I can assign the project, and I can track them, right? I can see how much that resource cost me. If are we talking about maybe $1,000 per day, or something like that, just as an example. So you can manage that. You can manage hierarchy. You can see who reports to what. You can see what they're busy with. You can also see what their work history is. You can also see how much you have spent on the team. You can also see if they're contractor, or their employee, their part-time, their full-time, their labor, their asset. All these things you can do it in Clarity. And you can define your capacity. You can see, are you running out of architects? Are you running out of business analysts? Maybe you're out of project managers. You have too much work, project management work. You have too much engineering work. You have too much business analyst work, right? So you can see the capacity, you can see the demand, and you can see the timeline. You can see when maybe in March, the new project is starting, a milestone needs to be delivered, a documentation needs to be done. So each and everything that you can, see, the work that you can see, you can track. And also you can see the capacity and the demand. Maybe you have got less work and too many people, or you got too much work and less people, or in the area. So you can see and you can define and you can assign and meet the demand, and you can bring work to the people, right, in Clarity. And also, what about the risk? If let's say you are doing risk management, you're doing compliance management, you are doing governance, you are doing auditing, you're doing all these types of things, so you can do that in Clarity, because it's a piece of work. Identifying the risk, mitigating the risk, creating the risk, mitigating the risk, or creating a change request from the risk. All these things can be linked and tracked, because at the end of the day, there are risks, there are contracts. You can do that in Clarity. It's a piece of execution, right? Risk is you are identifying and executing. This you can do. But also, some companies, they measure time. I am spending 8 hours. I'm spending 45 hours, 40 hours per week. I've spent 100 hours on leave. I spent 200 hours, 2000 hours in delivering piece of work or piece of code or piece of deliverable. So you can measure time, you can measure points. Maybe some companies, they use story points, or some development agile teams, they use story points. So it doesn't matter if you want to do time tracking, time card, you can do that. It can be billable time, it can be non-billable time. So the professional services department, they're also using to do that, make it happen. There's a mobile app where you can go, you enter your time, and you can approve time anywhere, anything you can do, right? So this is on the time card. And what about the financial? So if a project is costing me $1 million, how much as an example, how much I am spending in January, how much I'm spending in March, how much I'm spending in October, how much I'm spending in November, how much I'm spending in June. So I can see the spend, I can put the budget, I can put the actuals, I can see the estimate, I can see the forecast, and I can see where I'm spending the money, how much I'm spending in hardware, how much I'm spending in subscription, how much I'm spending in labor, in asset. So all these types of budgets, all these types of tracking, maybe you're running out of budget, maybe you need to add more budget, you need approval. So you can do that. Maybe you can add more budget, or you can scrap the whole project or initiative. So these types of financial things, are you maybe doing capex, or maybe you're spending in opex, right? It's a yearly thing, or how much is in capex, opex. All the transactions can be tracked inside Clarity, and you can export and slice and dice the data, right? So this is the another use case that we have. Then we got another use case is pure work. I want to see what you're working on, right? Are you working on delivering a POC, or are you working on delivering a code, or are you working on doing some testing? What your work looks like, what's your to-do list, or are you doing steering committee meeting, or are you working on putting together some initiatives, or enforcing some compliance, or doing some risk work, right? So whatever work you do, you can manage it in Clarity, and this work can be on an individual level, this work can be in a team level, and you can collaborate with multiple departments. Maybe the procurement department, they have a work to release an RFP or a contract, right? Or sign a contract. So that type of work management things, you can do it. Or maybe you have a budget, you want to approve the budget, right? You have a work to approve or disapprove or ask for information, right? So define your to-do list, define your work, name your work, put it in your calendar, and you can see the data in Excel, you can see it in calendar, you can see it in PowerPoint, you can see it in Kanban board. So you can do that, and this work can be aligned with the strategy and objectives, and the work should deliver value, right? So you can do that anytime, anywhere, create any piece of work. You can automate that work, you can create your to-do list, you can track your work, on a team level, and you can also track your delivery. Are you slow? Which team is slowing you down, which person is slowing you down. You can track the status, you can see the status narrative. Maybe you need help, maybe the effort is at track. If cross-functional teams are there to run any piece of initiative or any piece of project, in the matter of HR, sales, IT, marketing, doesn't matter. Everyone is delivering some work, everyone is delivering milestone or tracking something. So you can do and you can measure that piece of work so that it can add value. But work can also be in the form of release. I want to track release, I want to track my iteration, I want to track my sprint, I want to see which is planned work, which is unplanned work, which is scheduled work, which is unscheduled work. I can do PI planning. So I can do all of these things in Clarity along with Raleigh together, so we can do all these type of things. So these are some use cases that you can see on the work management. But
So
also there are a lot of
maybe before we go to the next one, we have a question here. How is this different from Jira and other project management tools?
Very, very good question. So Jira, if I go back to where I started this one, Jira is more on the execution side of the world, right? So you can do project management or product management, task management. This Jira is more on the execution. What Clarity provides execution planning and strategy. So you can run the strategy, you can build the strategy, you can track your vision, mission, objectives, and you can align with your execution, align with your planning. So for Jira customers, we have two options. We can either integrate with Jira. If you want to keep Jira for the execution, we can integrate and we can bring in all your project data into Clarity, because at the end of the day, Clarity is the master. Jira is just one of the software that we integrate with. But maybe you have some, finance, maybe use Oracle or SAP or something else, or PMO. So we integrate with Jira. This is one option we do. The another option that we come across is, we don't want Jira, we are thinking of replacing because, for whatever reason, that we see. So we have actually a software called Raleigh, which is sister of Clarity. Those Raleigh can replace Jira. That we can do, or we if you want to keep the Jira, we can integrate with Jira. But we are doing not just project management or not only just the execution. We are doing all strategy planning and execution in Clarity. So that's the difference that you see, along with the financial management capability, work management capability that we just discussed here. Okay. Any other question?
No, for now.
Right. So guys, now we talk about the business process and integrations, because Jira is one of the software that we integrated, but we integrate with many different softwares. We have too many connectors that is available out there. So first, also the business process. I want a status of my initiative. I want a status, weekly status or monthly status or bi-weekly status, or I want to track my strategy. I want to track my initiative. I want to track my milestones. So I need the status all the time, from IT department, from finance department, for release project, for upgrade project, for contract project, whatever type of statuses, you can just see it with one push of button. You will have that status available for you right away. You can go, you can export it in Excel, you can export it in PowerPoint, you can demonstrate it to your stakeholders. This is number one. Number two is process management. I need an approval to go, or I need a sign off to go from one phase to another phase, or one stage to another stage, or one phase gate to another stage gate, or I need multiple approvals, maybe from finance, maybe from security. So I can create these business processes. I can track these business processes. I can track the approvals. I can see the justification. All of this we can do it over here. It needs a change request, you need approval. It needs a risk mitigation, you need approval, or you just fulfill it, right? So these types of processes we can do, and we can do it in manage it in Clarity, right? But what happens is, many times, there are data in silos. Data is segregated at multiple places, and the customer uses multiple applications, right? Maybe there's an application for committing the code. Maybe the customer use Git, for doing release. It's a piece of work, right? And we need, let's say, for example, the customer wants to automate the whole thing. They want to integrate Clarity with third parties. So as long as the project goes into the release phase, we want that release to be pushed automatically. So we have these integrations, these connections available, not just with Git, but with many different softwares. Either it's a ITSM software where the request is coming from, or either it's a code commit software, or it's a code repository software, or it's a release management software. So we integrate, because at the end of the day, things are related to the project. Most of the times are related to the initiatives, right? So we connect the release with the project, we connect the change request with the project, we connect the initiatives with the project, or demand with the project, or we connect the request with the project. So these connections, these integrations is provided by our add-on on Clarity, which is what we call Connect All. And we have these integrations where you can connect, integrate, synchronize the data, orchestrate the data. Maybe you have some data in ERP, maybe you have some data someplace, and you end up integrating and fetching the data, because you need things in one pane of glass. You don't need multiple systems, for strategy planning and execution. So we do that, and these are just some examples that you see over here. We can just drag and drop and run that connection and integrate them and sync that data. And that data can be in the resource data, that data can be project data, that data can be task data coming from Microsoft project, or any other tool, as a matter of fact, right? So this is something that we are able to do with these connections and with these integrations. Okay. The last thing is reporting and insights. So at the end of the day, when I have all the data related to strategy planning and execution, I need visibility. I need to see dashboard, live dashboard. I need to run reports so that I can see where we are now, what's happening now, right? So we have these insights, we have these connectors where we can go and connect, and it provides data warehouse. And based on the persona, we give the metrics. If you're a project manager, you get project KPIs. If you're a security manager, you get security KPIs. If you're a test man or a head of QA, you get the KPIs. If you're from ITSM, or head of support, you get the KPIs related to request or incident. So we are connecting the data, and we are putting insights, and we are putting all these KPIs into a form of reports and dashboard, right? So this is something that we can do. And also we can communicate the report, we can communicate the real-time progress whenever needed, on demand, or send the report. If I want to see the initiatives, I want to see the cost, I want to see the strategic themes, I want to reduce the waste. That's one of the theme, in oil and gas company as an example, or reduce the emissions, or for a telco, maybe setting up a 6G tower as an example. So you can have that reports and communicate that progress in the Clarity. And also you can do optimizations. Maybe let's say some of the KPIs doesn't make sense. Maybe in January it makes sense, maybe in June it doesn't make sense. So we can remove them, we can optimize them, we can track them, we can assess them. All these things we can do. And also AI plays a big role in Clarity. So we have an agent we call VIA, which we call value ops agent. And this VIA agent comes with Clarity, that comes with Rally. And this VIA agents can integrate with your LLM solution, like OpenAI, or like Chat GPTs, or Gemini or Copilot. So if I want to summarize a strategy, if I want to summarize a roadmap, or if I want to write a status, by sending the prompts, and generate some kind of data or some kind of report, we can do that because we have all the data in Clarity. We have all the strategy planning and execution. So we can use that data to do summarization, to write narratives, to write statements and all that, with that, right? So VIA plays a very big role. And also we are supporting bring your own AI. So if the customers have their own AI, with the Gemini, Copilot, or OpenAI, any of these ones, we can go and we can generate that data, which would be useful for customers. It can be to build a risk, or to write an objective, or to summarize status. All these types of examples that you can do it from here, in Clarity, right? So these are basically the use cases that you see. But I have a bonus use case for you, which is for AI strategy. So we are talking a lot about AI these days. It's being used now by consumers, by business. So the adoption is very fast for the AI. So all the companies that I see, or majority of the players, they definitely have some AI strategy. So we can use Clarity for that AI strategy, right? So we can use it for project, we can use it just for strategic portfolio alignment and all that. But let's use Clarity for AI strategy, and a lot of companies are building the strategy now, right? So what do we do? What Clarity does? So Clarity aligns with Gartner 4 pillars. We are aligning with Gartner on the AI strategy. These 4 pillars are, first pillar is vision, second is value, third is risk, and fourth is adoption. So what's your vision for the AI? What's the measurable value you're going to get out of it? What's the value? What's the risk of using the AI? Maybe you will expose some of the data, or whatever, or you will have a obsolete model. So risk aware government and adoption. Are people scared to use it, or some people are not scared? Some people just adopt it faster. So this is the AI strategy that we do, and we align with Gartner on that. And there's a playbook for that, right? So when we say, if the companies, let's say they don't use AI, what will happen? They will be less efficient. No matter what, AI cannot, the humans, AI cannot replace humans 100%. It's impossible. But it would be more efficient for humans to use AI. That's what we see, because we are seeing AI initiatives. They are flooding the roadmaps. Lot of initiatives, lot of strategy, lot of PMOs. They are reacting. They are not driving, because other company is using AI. So let us also use the AI, because it will give us more points. It will help us. So we see that, right? So is it how you are perceiving it, how you are building it? So are you doing it to provide the value, or are you just doing it because the other people are doing AI? So you have to do the AI, otherwise you will not look good. So as I mentioned, we are aligning with these 4 areas, right? So are we leading or lagging? Very important, thing that we need to consider. But when we are using Clarity, we can use the Clarity to define the vision. What is my vision? What I want to use AI for? Can I use AI for risk mitigation, risk management, or should I use AI for scenarios? What if I use do this will happen? Or should I use AI to do alignment of my initiative and objective? Or should I use AI to align projects with this one? So what the AI is used, or should I use AI in security? Should I use AI in operations? Should I use AI in modernization? So you need to define the vision, and then you need to fund that vision, right? This is the first pillar of Gartner, that fits into the strategy. Then the other thing we need to do is we need to stop measuring the activity. We need to start measuring the value. If I'm writing a piece of code, or if I'm writing an integration with one of the AI providers, that would not help. But what value it's going to bring to me, what KPIs or OKRs I'm going to achieve, that's something that we do. So AI without the business value is just nothing. It's waste basically. So we need to define the impact. We need to define the value. We need to define the ROI. We need to define the OKR. We need to define each and everything. We need to define the objectives, and we need to define what is the impact going to be on the business, right? Are you going to be more efficient, right? And also then we need to proactively govern. We need to make sure we identify the risk. What is the ethical risk? What is the operational risk? What is the reputational risk? We need to visualize the availability. We need to do forecasting. We use AI for the forecasting. We use AI for reskilling or more talent development. So we need to have governance. We need to put some kind of guardrails, because we cannot just open it up on the internet and put everything out there. So we need to put guardrails. We need to put some governance. We need to make sure that we have the skills for the AI. And also we need to make sure we identify the risk and we can see we accept it or we either let it go or we don't accept it. So depending on that, governance is a very important thing, and that governance you can use Clarity for that, right? In the form of resource management. And then also you can have automation. Maybe let's say you have AI success depends on a lot on automation, because you have the strategy, you have the vision, you have the ideas, but you need traceability, because maybe you have a data in one AI data in one piece of software. Maybe you have a data in another piece of software. So how we provide end-to-end visibility? Maybe you have teams working on the AI, and maybe let's say you are using some other software for the development. Maybe let's say you have a finance team, they're using another software, or maybe you have a release team, they're using another software, for doing the finance thing, or for release, or for development, or for testing. So we need to make sure we integrate. This is one of the use cases I told you before. We integrate and we have Clarity as one pane of glass, where we have all the data points, so we can see, we can trap, and we can see the measurable results, measurable value, right? So we have that traceability, right? We streamline the strategy ideas into execution, because if you have idea in one place, request in one place, execution at one place, it will not help. So we need that. So we also have a case study here. We have a global enterprise. They have more than 300 plus AI initiatives. They're very aggressive, right? This company, and they have one system of record. So we have got Clarity to one system, and they use Clarity for all their roadmaps, for all their strategy, for all their plans, to define all their risks, to define all their demands. Maybe things change, changing direction, be able to manage all their initiatives and strategy. So this is something that you can do. So as I mentioned, the whole thing is providing the vision. Use Clarity for vision. Use Clarity to define value. Use Clarity to mitigate risk, and use Clarity for adoption, right? So you can adopt, and again, this can be, as you might say, the budgets of AI will grow and grow and grow, and you need to have a proper strategy, and we are, as I mentioned, we are aligning with Gartner to deliver that strategy, right? So just to summarize, we can manage AI initiatives and governance. We can align, objectives with the AI. We can provide roadmaps. We can provide structure. We can provide workforce, resource development, skill management. We can do all of this. It's in Clarity, right? So all these four pillars, as I mentioned, and you can see these are some screenshots. That one of the case studies I mentioned. They're using it for visioning, and adoption and resource management and value. All this has been used. So that was all it. Now I will just explain, or I will just go through quickly about Clarity. Clarity is leader by top vendors worldwide. Top analysts are rating us leader, and these are all the latest reports available. And this right one is from Gartner, and you will find Broadcom, which is the Clarity that actually is the leader there in the Gartner. And also on the left side, you would see Forrester. In Forrester Wave, you can see us leader. And again, it's just for strategy management, portfolio management, project management. You will see for all of that, right? I see there is a banner here again. Let me just do the stop and sharing, because I think that's the only way to fix this thing. So guys, just give me 1 second. For some reason, I'm unable to include this banner. 1 second, guys. Second. Yeah, guys, I'm going to share back again because I saw that banner, black banner. Okay, so yeah, as I was mentioning, Gartner Forrester, we are leader, right? Latest reports are available. Strategy management, portfolio management, project management. Same with the GigaOM. GigaOM also gave us the orange one, the outperformer marks, right? We are available, as you mentioned, both in on-prem and SaaS. IDC also gave us leader marks, and also there are GigaOM and Research and Action. There are the other players, right? So if you pick any of the leading, you will find Clarity is in the leader, right? And it's been loved by customers. Either you are an oil and gas company or a manufacturing company or a company, telco company, or a ministry or a school or any matter of company. I'm sure each companies or each organizations have initiatives and programs and projects and objectives and strategy and AI. All this would be managed and resources would be done in Clarity. And the value proposition is one-stop shop for all strategy planning and execution use cases. So even if you want to go agile, or if you are looking to do work management or project or more than strategy, you can easily use Clarity for that. So just to summarize, do your strategy management, do your money management related to projects or strategy, do your resource management, do your work management. All this you would be able to do and build your strategy along the lines of AI or any other strategy in Clarity and measure it in Clarity. So I want to thank you guys for joining in today. I covered a lot of things today. I hope the bonus use case was very helpful for you as well. So I will ask now, May, if there are any questions so far.
No.
And guys, if you want, go ahead.
No, carry on.
Yeah. So guys, if you have any questions, feel free to send it over chat. Or if you want to speak and, maybe Mike can unmute you and you can speak and ask your question.
Sure. After now, we haven't received more questions. Looks like the presentation was pretty clear for everyone. So let's wait for 1 minute or 2 minutes. If we haven't received any question, maybe we can close the session. Yeah.
Guys, anything, let me know, if you have anything. If you want to reach out separately, Maya can, send her contact and my contact. I think some of you already know me, but the people who don't know me, I can share with you my email, or Mike can share with you. And then maybe if you want to reach out separately, feel free to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much, Piyush, for this amazing presentation. And thank you all for joining us today. I kindly ask you before you leave to complete the short survey you will be receiving after the session. And as Piyush explained, if you need any further explanation, or if you want to schedule a demo, please reach us at info@mbcom.com. I will add it here on the chat box.
Yes, we can share. Yes, we can share. We can share a copy of presentation. Yes.
Yeah, so you can ask, you can maybe send an email if you need the presentation file as well. We have a question here as well, Piyush. If the applications are integrated with the solution, how can the customer be assured that their data is secure?
Excellent question. Excellent question. That's why we need to put guardrails. So if you talk from the process perspective, I mean, you can put, or the customers can put guardrails and make sure that the data doesn't go out in the outside world. So this is from the process perspective. You can put some guardrails. From the tools perspective, you can configure the tools so that the data at rest, or the data in transit, or data in motion, is encrypted, so that the data is not leaked. And the third thing is the confidential data doesn't go outside, because the LLMs are the prompts can be carrying the confidential data, or the files that the customers, they want to summarize something, may contain confidential data. So we can put tools in place, we can put encryption in place, we can put guardrails in place to make sure that these are all secured. Even when integrating with any cloud vendor or any on-prem or multiple solutions, so we can make sure that make happens. Using these tools and processes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Piyush. Thank you, everyone. As explained, the session recording will be shared with you all, and it will be available on our YouTube channel as well shortly. Thank you and have a great day, and we look forward to welcome you on our future session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a great day.